So you may have noticed your current lead magnet not quite performing the way it used to. And it's not because it's a bad lead magnet. It's because we are in a shift. Your potential client is much less likely to give their email for a static piece of content that may or may not contain information that they need to get to the solution they want. They just want the solution. And now that we are in the age of AI, you can give it to them. So today, I'm going to show you 2 tools that you can use to first take your existing PDF lead magnet and transform that into actual mini app ideas that you can use. And then we're going to take those app ideas and we're going to feed them into another tool that's going to transform them into an AI builder ready prompt that you can then put into your favorite AI builder. Mine happens to be Base 44, and start creating your own mini apps, your own online tools for your potential clients who will give you their email to use and maybe even pay to use. So by the end of this video, you will have ideas for mini apps from your existing lead magnet, and you will have an AI builder ready prompt from the favorite app idea that you want to turn into your own mini tool. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is the PDF lead magnet that we're going to be working with. This one is about starting your own podcast. This is actually a real lead magnet that I downloaded from someone's site. I just happened to change the branding to protect that company because I don't think they'd appreciate me just taking their lead magnet. So this PDF has a lot inside of it. You can choose your own format. It talks about building a starter plan. It has checklists, talks about 5 starting points. It is loaded with information. So how do we take this and turn this into an interactive mini tool that potential clients will love to use? Well, to do this, the first tool that we're going to use is called Ideasies. So let's take a look and let's use this existing PDF with it and see what kind of ideas we get. Okay, so here we are in Ideasies. We'll leave the URL below, and just so you know, you will get a free try, so you can try this for free. There are 2 ways you can use this. You can put in your text and just put in an app idea that you have or a solution that you have and see what app ideas it comes up with. Or we can hit this tab and we can drag in an existing PDF, which is what we're going to do. So I'm going to take that PDF that I just showed you. I'm going to drop it in and I'm going to hit turn my PDF into an app. And now it's going to do its thing. It's going to read through the PDF. It's going to pull out ideas and it's going to present them to us. So I'm going to let it do its thing. And then in a moment, we'll take a look at what it came up with. Okay, so after a little bit of time, it gave me 4 options to pick from. So the first thing that I can see is that there's different colors. And that means that these are different kinds of mini apps, being either a playful or a professional one. So to dig into this, let's see what we got. We have the format match engine, the podcast concept clarifier, the launch readiness radar, and the first episode blueprint. Now, before I even click into these, I want to state a common mistake that I see a lot of people make, and that is that they see all these ideas and they want to use them all and create one giant app to make it actually work the same way that their static lead magnet did. I'm going to advise against that, and the reason why is because A, the bigger the app, the harder it is to maintain, and also because this actually can give you a series of things to do. So remember, each of these is a different idea. So we're essentially looking at 4 different mini tools. And you can pick one to start off and see how it does, or you can use all of them and create them to make an entire resource center that will create solutions for your potential clients after they sign up. Okay, so with that said, let's dive in and take a look. So you can click on these. The format match engine, it gives me the stuck moment. The user intellectually understands the 3 format options, but can't commit to one because they don't know which one fits their life, personality, and goals. It tells you that this is a quiz. That's the mechanic of it. how it adds delight. The stuck moment, so it's kind of identifying that pain point that the potential customer could have. Tells you what the user will be inputting, what the app will be outputting, and key features. Now from here I can copy this right to the clipboard if I want to, or I can save the idea. I'm going to just exit out for now. And as you can see, each of these does the same thing. Gives you the stuck moment. It's interesting that it gives you twice, but one gives it to you in a quote, the other one gives it to you in how a tool handles it. The mechanic, the delight, input, output, and features. Now the app also does something else that I want you to pay attention to. So up here, it took all the things that were in your lead magnet and transferred that into a statement that's called a job to be done. Basically, it's answering the question of why your potential client would hire your lead magnet, or in this case, your mini app. So this was about doing podcasts. And so the job that it pulled from that PDF was, when I finally decide I want to start a podcast, I want to instantly know my format, topic clarity, and launch readiness so I can stop second guessing myself and take one confident first step instead of drowning in options and never beginning. So I find that really interesting, and I find it really important because this is also something that you can take with you into thinking about your marketing, and to thinking about that when you're developing or tweaking your mini apps. So I wanted to point that out. There are two things also you can do from here. I can say I don't like any of these ideas. Click this, it will clear all of them, and you can just start fresh. Or if you want to put in something else and see what it comes up with. And we can also just hit this and say clear all unsaved, which will keep this, but that way you can just start generating new ideas in case you didn't like any of these. But for this, what we're going to do is we're going to pick one and we're going to use that with our second tool. So I'm going to pick one of the playful ones because I really like that. So I'm going to just pick this first one here. I'm going to go to the bottom. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to make sure I save that idea so I remember. And now we're going to take this and we're going to move to our next tool, which is going to take this idea and transform it into a prompt that we can give to a AI builder to actually turn into an app for us. So let's take a look at that now. Okay, so here we are at our second online tool. This is called Teleprompt. Again, like IdeaZ's, I will drop that URL down below, and it does also give you a free try, just like IdeaZ's. So this is where you can describe your app idea. Again, just like IdeaZ's, if you want, you can just type it in. One of the great things that this does is it actually gives you examples, so you can phrase this in a way that will work best with this online tool. And they give you two examples to use. So here's a recipe finder, and it tells you how it explains that. What's really cool is it gives you this format to follow. You know, here's one that's completely different. This is kind of more finance tracking, so it breaks that down for you again and shows you how to put that in. But we already know what we're putting in because we just copied it from IdeaZ's. So I'm going to take that and I'm just going to paste it in. I'm going to quickly glance over this to make sure that there's everything in here that I want. Make sure it doesn't say anything like template or form because the AI builder will grip onto that. So we don't want that. We want to make sure that this is basically about the concept of it. We definitely want it playful. I'm gonna take out that size and let it do its thing. So I'm going to now go ahead and hit generate prompt. And now it's working through everything we just gave it. And in a moment, it is going to give us a prompt. So we'll take a look at that in a moment, as soon as it generates. Okay, so after a while, it did generate the prompt. I do want to also note both these tools do take a little bit to generate the responses because they are actually thinking through this. So don't be discouraged if it seems like it's taking a while. Just let it do its thing and even just come back to the tab in a little bit. You'll see it come up. So here is the prompt that it gave me for my podcast format. So it has a summary and it's telling it what that it's building. It's giving information about the target user and their needs. So the AI builder knows exactly what they're building this app for, who they're building it for, the problem being solved. It even gives a user flow. So It's letting the AI builder know how this is supposed to progress. And it took, I'm going to come down here a little bit. It took all the information that, because Ideasies translated it from the PDF, it took all that and it input it, and then it put it into this. So we are carrying over that knowledge from the static PDF into this interactive tool. And then it even did design and tone. Now, of course, it's guessing on this, and it's picking things that, are probably efficient and safe. That is my guess, because it usually ends up doing that. So these are the kind of things that we'll have to tweak later. But it's a good start for the AI builder. So I'm going to hit copy prompt. And now we have our ideas. I saved the one in Ideasies, but I could have saved the others for future development. So we have a collection of ideas. And I have the prompt for my first idea. So now let's plug this into the AI builder and let's see what it generates and how well these two tools did in taking a static PDF and turning it into an online tool that my potential clients can use. Okay, so here I am inside my Base 44 account, and I can just drop it right into here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to paste it in. I also like that the prompt builder put inside the prompt to ask me any clarifying questions before it builds. And I love that it does that, because that is something that, even though I have experience in this, I often forget. So it's really great that it adds that in for me. One of the things I want to talk about with Base that I like to do, because from here I can just hit, the go button and let it start building. But one of the things I like to do with Base, and I'm going to get into this in future videos, so don't worry about that. But just for this, I'm going to show you, I really like to hit this plan first before it starts spending all my credits and building away. So I'm going to hit plan. And then I'm just going to say go ahead and that. So it's in the plan window inside Base right now. And it is right now reading over the prompt that the AI builder had created for me based on that idea that was created from the static PDF. So it's now thinking, and in a moment, it's probably going to start asking me some questions. So I'm going to give this a little bit time to work on that, and then we'll see what it ends up asking me. Okay, so it actually didn't ask me questions, which I find is interesting. What it did was it gave me the plan. So it's talking about the intent and goal, audience and roles, the core flows, technical requirements, design requirements. Now, again, this is why I like to put things in plan, because otherwise it might have just taken off with all this. And this is really where I can actually say, you know what, can you please use these colors, because these are my brand colors. Can you please use this logo? Please ensure that you name the app this. So these are those little things that I can throw in now. And because we're in the planning stage, I won't end up spending a ton of time and money or credits tweaking this to things that could have easily been added in here. So, but I don't have any of that right now, so I'm not going to worry about it. But what I am going to say is, do you have any questions for me that would make this app better, more delightful for the user, or anything else that we should talk about before building? Now, again, it said in there to ask me questions, but it didn't. And I just like to cover all my bases. So I'm going to just ask it one more time, because I feel like it should ask me something, right? So I'm going to hit that instead of the start building. And it's great questions. I have enough to build confidently, but here are 3 things worth aligning on before I write a single line. So now it's giving me choices of things. And that's what I'm talking about. This is why it's, at least with Base, and this is why I love using Base, it helps me plan out and think these things through beforehand. So after the result is revealed, should the app capture the user's email? So it's already thinking that, this is, you had a lead magnet and this is maybe a lead magnet. So what do we want to do here? And so here's a couple things we could do. We can just say no email. And this would be something that maybe, if you wanted to create a single email and give them access to all, like if you do a collection of tools, that may be something that's the way to go. You can do the optional email after reveal. And then there's also an email gate before download, or we can say something else and we could say, we're going to require them to do a login so that they actually have to sign up for this app, before they even start anything. But I love this idea of the optional email after reveal. So I'm going to put that and I'm going to hit next. The next thing that wants to know is the feature that is downloading the format card. It requires rendering, which can be finicky on mobile. So it's even thinking about this for me. How important is that download feature? Depends on your brand, of course. Depends on what you're offering. For me, I'm just going to right here put replace with copy shareable link. I think that would be much better. So we're going to do that. And then I'm going to hit next again. Does this tool live standalone? In other words, it's its own full screen app, or is it meant to be embedded inside a larger website or landing page? So you can see how it's just thinking things through. And I'm sure as you're hearing this, you're making your own choices like, oh, that would be amazing to have on, buried into my website and not have to worry about it going somewhere else. Or, maybe this ends up being a thing that you want to, branch out into its own domain. Like I said, if you're doing a resource and you want to make this whole thing like a whole step-by-step kit for, in this case, creating podcasts. Again, the choice is up to you, but the point is this helps you think that through and you're now not thinking about it later, or maybe you would never even think about it once the app is already built. Because I will say this, having to implement these things after the app is built becomes a lot more time consuming. It ends up eating up a lot more credits, and it does end up often causing complications that you have to work through because it's now rewriting code or rewriting over code or adding in code. So that's why I love using the plan part right now. So again, this is with base 44. So I am going to put for this one, I just want it to be a standalone full screen app. I don't want to embed it, and I'm just going to hit there. So it's now taking all my answers. It's saying now it has everything. It's thinking, I don't know what it's thinking about, but it does want to build it. So you know what? At this point, I'm going to just go up. Is it still thinking? Yeah. Okay. This is good that it's happening. I'm glad this is happening. When this kind of thing happens, because planning is finicky, there it is. If it didn't do this, I actually would have went up to here, to that first start build, wherever that is. Did it move it? It took it away. If it didn't do this, you could have scrolled back up and hit start build from that first one. It still would have had all this information, but it gave it to me. It gave new thing. It gave all the new info. Woohoo. So let's start building. Now, your AI builder is going to take a while to do this. So let's use again the magic of video. I'm going to show you what it builds in just a moment. Okay, and here is the finished mini tool that it came up with. Just so you know, I'm looking at it for the first time as you are. So let's do the reveal together, right? Let's figure out your podcast format in 5 questions. So it followed the format that was given from the AI builder. It made this really cute animation. I love that. It even says takes less than 2 minutes, no account required. So it's already building trust. You didn't even have to think about that. So let's hit this and see what happens. How much time can you realistically dedicate to podcast prep each week? I'm going to go right into the middle. When you imagine yourself making your show, which feels more natural, talking directly to my audience, sitting across from someone fascinating, or both, honestly? I like variety. What's the first thing you want your podcast to do for you? Build authority and establish my expertise, grow a community, connect people, generate leads, or grow my business. I just want to make something I love. I love that I put genuinely underneath there too. So you can see it's adding some personality to it, which is also very, very cool. I'm going to pick create leads. And you can see that it does put a little comment or a text down there at the bottom, which is going too fast for me to read. So I'm making a mental note on that. But so far, I mean, considering that I've really done nothing except give my PDF to an idea builder, which I gave to a prompt, which I then just fed into base, this isn't bad. I've done very little effort on my part to have to redo this. So how do you feel about coordinating with guests? I love connecting with people. Sure, bring on the guests. And this should be 5, and it's even telling me question 5 of 5, and you can see the progress bar going up here, which I absolutely love. It says 80% done. When you're at your best in front of the audience, you're probably telling a story, asking the question nobody thought to ask, breaking down something complex until it clicks. I'm going to click that too. It gave that kind of little animation to let me know that it's working, which is wonderful. And here it is. So you're a mix master. Variety isn't an indecision. It's your superpower. So it even talks about why it fits, sample episode structure. I can then share this link, which should bring me back to here. Would have to test that out. Or I can retake the quiz. Do I want a free podcast launch checklist? And here's where I can put in my email and send it. You know what? Let's see what it ends up sending. So I'm going to try that out. Boop, boop. You're in. Check your inbox. Your checklist is on the way. So it even let me know, like it took that. I'm going to be getting something pretty cool in my inbox. So we're going to check that out in a moment. And I also want to see what this link is. So I'm going to copy this link, and now I'm going to open up an incognito window and paste that in and see what happens, because I do want to test that. So let's just quickly test that out next. Okay, so here I am in incognito. I'm pasting it in. There's the link it gave, but I don't see how it's actually going to link directly to my result. So let's see what happens there. It doesn't. It just links to the app. So that's something that we're going to end up having to tweak inside the app. It's a good thing that I tested it. So we will worry about that later. And I am going to, in another video, dig into Base 44 more. In fact, I'll use this app as an example and walk through and show you all the ways that you can use Base 44 to really polish and work out things with your existing app, and even show you some things that you can do behind the scenes so that your app isn't just working for your potential clients or existing clients, but it's actually working for you at the same time. So please subscribe, like this video, give me any questions that you've got down below that you want me to cover, because I'll be covering a lot of these kind of things to give you demos and step-by-step through. And of course, always offering you tools to make this easier on you. Okay, with that said, plug out of the way. Let's now check the email and see what kind of checklist it gave. Okay, so I went into my email and there wasn't any. So that's something else that the app, in theory, wanted to do, but was not able to execute. And again, that is a whole separate tutorial, which I am definitely going to do. So don't worry about that. But in the meantime, I do want to point out that we used 2 tools. We used Ideasys and we used Teleprompt, and we were able to take our existing lead magnet. We were able to turn it into not one, but a series of different kind of online tools and mini apps that we could use. We then took one of those ideas and we transformed it into an AI builder ready prompt. And once we put that in, it did create a pretty great start to an interactive tool that will collect leads. And again, like I said, we can even now use this tool to not only work for our potential clients, but work for us, which again, will show you in future videos. So one last time, please subscribe. Please like this video. And thank you so much for watching and being part of the Up and Up Club. I will see you in the next video.